I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Are you ready for the truth? I believe comic book heroes walk the earth. I believe you're one of those individuals.
I'm just an ordinary man.
No, you're not. Why do you keep saying that?
It's hard for many to believe there are extraordinary things inside themselves.
Don't worry. I won't tell anyone.
It's all right to be afraid, David. Because this part won't be like a comic book. Bad is winning. It's time for someone like you.
Unbreakable.
I bet my dad could beat up your dad.
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. And there's another request, paid request, this time from Brawl at Stipe. If anyone wants to send in requests, topics, reactions, reviews of movies or something else, whatever, you can request either send it directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And at this point is for Unbreakable, which is the Vista DVD series that slides out like this. I do like this. Very cool. And watch this again, I can easily say this is my favorite M. Night Shyamalan film. I think it's the one truly great film he did. Sixth Sense. It's not a bad film, to be fair. It's not a bad film. I don't hate The Sixth Sense. It's just, I do think that's a film that, if it wasn't for the ending, I don't think it would have had the impact that it made. Haley Joel Osment does a good job, as do Bruce Willis, but again, I think without the ending, here though, I think the entire film is a much stronger movie. The plot, it's a nice take on the superhero, but in the real world. I think this does a lot fucking better than what Christopher Nolan did in his Batman films. Like when people say, oh, a superhero in a real world, to me, Unbreakable was much more successful in that. And I think Quentin Tarantino said it best. Like, what would happen if Superman didn't realize he was Superman? Like, in our world today, if Clark Kent didn't know he was Superman, what would happen? Other things I think of, number one, why the fuck can't M. Night Shyamalan make a movie like this ever again? That's this worth of shit. Oh, he tried with Glass and it ruined the fucking movie. I still enjoy this film. To me, Glass doesn't exist. As John McClane would say, Glass, who gives a shit about Glass? Oh, that's what I want after watching this. and loving the movie still. I want to see a sequel where Bruce Willis's character... Speaking of, okay, when Tarantino... He really enjoyed Unbreakable. He mentioned the Superman thing. Let's say, okay, let's see the origin of Superman. And then the next time we see Superman, he's in an asylum for most of the movie. He doesn't do anything. He barely says jack shit. Then when he comes out, he gets his face put into a little puddle of kryptonite goo, and then he dies. And then people are like, oh, you just wanted action. I'm like, no, I don't want you to piss on my fucking leg and call it raining. That's what I don't want. You have this great setup where it's subtle, but it pulls you in. The score is fantastic. I love the score in this movie. It's from... Oh, what's his name? James Newton Howard. I think it's the best score he's done working with M. Night Shyamalan. Although I do like the music in Signs. And Signs is a movie I don't mind. I have the issues, but I liked Signs. After that, Lady in the Water, fuck that. The Village, fuck that. What was the one where the kid got the fucking diaper in his face? The Visit? Fuck The Visit. Never visit there again. Glass, fuck Glass. Disappointing, depressing bullshit. The Last Airbender? Can I laugh in your face? No, I'm just... But this... To me, I watch this, I go, wow. It really does a great job pulling you in, where you sets up the character Sam Jackson plays, where his arms and legs are broken when he's a baby. And then you set up Bruce Willis, and oh, there's a train crash. There's certain static shots where it's staying there so that we're listening to what the doctor is saying when Bruce is like, why are you looking at me like that? It's like, well, you're the only survivor of this train crash, and you don't have a scratch on you. You're like, oh, shit. And as Bruce walks out, you see other families look at him as if they're going to go, why you? Why the fuck you? And the slow realization of who he is, like, when was the last time I was sick? Do you remember? Isn't that weird? I can't remember one time where I had a cold or a sore throat. And you have the son who starts believing his dad is a superhero. And yeah, the thing with the gun is was a bit too much for me. It's kind of like how I felt in the Superman sequel, where the Richard Donner cut, where, oh, he's gonna... Well, to be fair, it's with blanks. With Lois. You don't kill me with that? Well, it's blanks. Which then made me know why the fuck didn't Superman... Well, anyway. But it's like... So, maybe that doesn't apply. That's not a good comparison. Wasn't there one where she jumped out of a fucking window? I said, well, wait a minute, what if you're wrong? You jump out of a fucking window? It's a bit weird. But anyway, this is like a kid, oh, Dad, come on, you're a superhero, and he's going to shoot his dad. And I'm like, there are other ways to do this. I mean... Instead of shooting him with a fucking gun, you tell me there's no other way, kid, to... If he's unbreakable, that means if you think a bullet will bounce off of him... I don't know, try to give him a fucking paper cut or something. Here's a piece of paper. You didn't do anything. You know, something else, man. Maybe a bit more... build up to that. But that's one of the few things I thought was a bit unsure of. The rest of the movie, like Sam Jackson, I liked his character. It was interesting, where he's either this glass cane or him being very knowledgeable in comic books, but looking at them as art and being very knowledgeable about the history of heroes and villains, and his desire to find someone who's the complete opposite. If he's the most breakable person ever, he wants to find someone who is unbreakable. And Bruce Willis does a good job. This is when Bruce Willis gave a shit. This is when Bruce Willis had the fucking fire. This is when Bruce Willis was not having his soul taken out of him by Shane's son, which has been happening for the past 10 fucking years, give or take. Like, Bruce Willis gave a shit. He doesn't give a shit anymore. Although I did not mind the Death Wish remake. But goddamn. Yeah, I finally found one of these randomly. There's not many, but I found one. But, I mean, like, Bruce Willis, stuff like this showcases he's a good actor. Like the realization of Sam Jackson's character and the look on Bruce Willis's face. Or when he saves the kids and he gives the newspaper to his kid, to his son, so that, hey, you were right, to let his son know that you're not crazy. And the way Bruce Willis suddenly goes, you know, don't tell your mom, but does it in a subtle manner, and his eyes are kind of glistening. Bruce Willis gave a shit. Around, even films around this time like Tears of the Sun and even The Whole Nine Yards, the comedy, he gave a shit. He doesn't give a shit anymore. Which, another request is a film he did this year, Hard Kill. More like Hard to Sit Through. I'll get to that maybe next, I don't know. But man, it's like you have it's a beautiful looking film. The way the Bruce Willis is a security guard, so his outfit and the poncho, that's like a superhero outfit. The way certain scenes are shot with the music mixed in, like when because he has this sensory perception where touches someone, he'll see their evil, what the bad things they've done. So a little bit of the dead zone in there, which is cool. The way that's shot, and the way the camera work is moving around Bruce Willis. And this is one of those movies that, again, when people want to talk about realistic superhero films, I think this did that pretty fucking well. But then this movie did not make as much money as The Sixth Sense. And, you know, all the money went to fucking Nolan's Batman films. Oh, finally, we got a realist, you know. I'm like, this movie did it. And I'll take this over any Nolan Batman films, I'm sorry. It's my choice. I thought some of the more status shots actually was appropriate for this, because this is me thinking too deeply. Maybe it was M. Night Shyamalan going, okay, it's like a comic book panel where each of these shots kind of linger and save the more movement of shots for scenes like the train station sequence. Again, I cannot praise the score enough in this movie. Again, people sometimes forget the importance of a great musical score to really make a movie flow. The whole weight scene, you know, a simple way of showcasing what he can do is the kid keeps putting on more and more weights, and he's lifting more and more, like, oh shit. I know a lot of critics got mad about the ending of the film. It didn't bother me as much as others. And I do wonder maybe if you had one more scene with maybe Sam Jackson in the asylum and Bruce Willis talking to him, and they have like one final conversation instead of just the text, like Bruce Willis text and then Sam Jackson text. I wonder if maybe that's what people seemed a bit, oh, okay, it's done now. I mean, maybe if you had the ending and then just a few minutes more to soothe that twist out. But it never bothered me as much as others. For a lot of people, they thought, oh, the ending was horrible, and maybe people were expecting some mind-blowing twist like Sixth Sense. I would assume that was one of the reasons. Not all, but for a good chunk of people. I actually like that it's not that. To me, because in retrospect, the ending fits naturally. With the Sixth Sense, that ending became so big, dare I say it became bigger than the movie itself. I really do believe that. I do believe the Sixth Sense, the ending of that film became bigger than the whole film itself. Because anytime you talk about the movie, they talk about the ending. But when you talk about Unbreakable, you talk about the whole movie. And I do think it seems like Unbreakable is the one that people talk about more. I never hear anyone talk about The Sixth Sense. Considering how big that film was at the time, I never hear that film get brought up. But you do hear some people bring up Unbreakable. For good reason. And I think that ending, with all the stupid twists M. Night does in a lot of his movies, to me, I didn't even think of it as a twist. It was more of, yeah, that makes sense. And again, I think in retrospect that actually works for the benefit of the movie. Where you're like, yeah, that's where it was leading up to. I can see why. When you get to films like The Visit where, oh yeah, this woman that crawled on her hands or knees like a fucking ninja, supernatural thing, and the dad being superhuman powered, well, they're nut jobs from the fucking asylum, and that makes a fucking old ass woman be a goddamn groundhog. Because I guess, you know, if you're in an insane asylum, you move like a groundhog. I'm like, okay. Or The Village, don't get me started on The Village. And just, that was just like a cheap shot kind of twist, like, come on, give me a fucking break type of stuff. Glass and go fuck yourself. And M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong nowadays is a fucking hack. Like I said, The Sixth Sense, to be fair, is okay. Signs, I like. But I do think this is his only truly great film, because I think he did stuff in a subtle manner, which worked in the benefit of this picture. It is a good looking to do too much like The Happening. So The Happening to me became a fucking comedy. He does put himself in the film, but not to a humongous part like Lady in the Water, where, oh, I'm the author that's destined to save the world. Or whatever the fuck in Lady in the Water. Like this one, I mean, he's in there, but it's fine. And again, this one just... I don't know if it's just, this film was what they call a disappointment at the box office, and so he thought, well, I gotta be more desperate, and I don't know what the hell happened to M. Night Shyamalan. I really don't. I really do not. Your guess is as good as mine. But Unbreakable still works. To me, it's a very interesting depiction of a superhero in our world. Nothing too flashy, over the top. This is a movie that I think the little action at the end works better. Despite what people think. No, I did not dislike Glass because I wanted a fucking fight like Man of Steel or Avengers. I wanted a movie that was worthwhile to the story of this fucking character, not to be locked in a fucking asylum for most of it. There's no such thing as superhero. This entire fucking film showcases, yes, there are heroes and villains. Now you're making a sequel where most of it's like, no, that's not really the case. Oh, yep, it is the case, and we know about it because we're a fucking secret organization. I don't know what the fuck he was trying. And let's kill this guy in a puddle of water. Fuck you. Get the fuck out, man. That is such a fucking disgrace to this movie. Such a fucking disgrace. If you're wondering, this is additional scenes not seen in theaters, behind the scenes featuring Bruce Willis, comic books and superheroes with Samuel Jackson, widescreen, pretty much it. And back in the days of DVDs, you had the Vista series. So there you go. RUUnbreakable.com. I wonder if that's still around. RUUnbreakable.com. Huh. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.